Hello to all my freedom loving woo homies out there. This is a collective tarot reading for the lunar eclipse that will be taking place in Scorpio on May 5th. Listen, this eclipses in general are a doozy. We got Mercury retrograde in the mix. We got Uranus in the mix. So as a question, I fell back on the trusty, reliable, what do we need to know? We're gonna see, and I'm gonna do a 5x3 mini tableau, and the collective significator I've chosen for us for Taurus season is the Page of Wands. Oh, and as always, I have three oracle cards to this side, which we will get to at the end. But the first step is finding the Page of Wands. The bottom of the deck appears to be the Queen of Wands. We shall see once we find the page. So it's probably going to be the Queen of Wands. Nah, that was something else. Come on, Pagey. Oh, it might be. Oh, there we go. So we have the Page of Wands here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And well, that's nice. Okay, so having the Ace of Coins, Sun, and Empress is always encouraging. Oh, and as a reminder, I don't do reversals when I do a tableau, so I'm going to stare at these a bunch, obviously fix them up. I will see you right now. So there are a couple themes in this spread. I'm going to try to cover them all without being too scatterbrained. I think some of the more important themes that will cover this entire thing are many hands make light work. Be on the lookout for opportunity, and just keep your eyes open for opportunity and be adaptable. I'm going to dig into that adaptable thing later on. That's one that I'm sure to not forget. But yeah, I think that the theme of many hands make light work comes through in the fairly high number of court cards. We have 5 court cards plus 1, which is higher than I remember seeing in spreads like this. And this is a nod to community and how, setting up networks is an important theme of what can help us navigate the time ahead. Speaking of the time ahead, I forgot to specify this. Reading for eclipses is kind of weird because the common approach in astrology is that eclipses have a scope of 6 months. So that is potentially the time frame that I'm reading for. But again, with Mercury going backwards and Uranus in the mix, I just wanted to just keep it straightforward, you know? But anyway, let's go back into this. So this column here is kind of encouraging in the sense that it's a nod to how we are resting on the back of the work that we've done to get to this point. And I think that despite the fights and defensive,ness, that time is over. And hopefully we've learned our lessons, nodding to both the King of Cups, so our emotional lessons and our lessons of, getting our shit together, because there's a lot of work ahead of us, nodded to by both the 8 of Coins and the Knight of Coins. Yeah. The other thing that I want to comment on, and this is, central theme of this spread here. I was really drawn to this sequence of 3 cards here, the Page of Wands, the King of Wands, and the Page of Coins here. The way I'm interpreting it, it's almost as if these 2 pages represent the same person. The fact that both the King and the Page are facing each other, it's almost as if the King is telling the Page, I got this, buddy. And the Page goes, oh, okay, and switches to another suit. And the way that I'm translating this in practical terms is, for the challenges that come ahead, there's something that you're uniquely gifted to do. However, sometimes we think that we're uniquely gifted to do something and someone else who's way better at it comes along. And it's important to recognize when that happens and to be able to switch to something else. It doesn't necessarily mean that you weren't good at this, but in the times that are ahead, the way that we're going to get to the promised land here comes through letting people through an organized effort which involves being ready to pivot to something else. Basically, I'm suddenly reminded of the saying "lead, follow, or get out of the way," and I think that if you obstinately, stubbornly hold on to what you thought was the thing that you're uniquely gifted for, and refuse to acknowledge when someone who is better suited comes along, and maybe it might be better to, yeah, you can learn and observe from this person, but to be willing to recognize that you might be better off, you know, observing and learning while also focusing on something else. That would be ideal. Because again, well, I say again as if I already said this, you might find yourself suddenly thrust into this position. Nodding to the Judgment card here. The Judgment card was one of the cards that confused me. The Judgment card and the Four of Cups here were the two cards that I got stuck on the most. But again, I think that the message of the Four of Cups is to be adaptable, to be open to opportunities to do the great work in a different way than we were used to and that we thought that was the best way for us. Yeah, be humble and be adaptable. Those are really, really, really important parts of this message here. And also to recognize that this is a process that isn't going to be over anytime soon. I mean, even at the very end of this tableau here, we have an ace, which is kind of a nod to how the end is also the beginning of a new cycle. So yeah, and this is something that comes up over and over and over again in these readings. And when I do readings in general, honestly, the whole notion of being patient. But remember that it's important to put yourself out there, and sometimes, and this came to me just now, sometimes when we put ourselves out there, that is the way that we attract the better people, or the people that we can learn from and observe, and that free us to do something else. Before I forget to mention this again, this seems like a good time to mention it. There are a lot of interesting dualities in the how the court cards appeared, or the configuration in which they appeared. We have the King and the Queen of Wands. We have also two pages. We have two kings. Yeah, that was just really interesting. Yeah, I guess I just wanted to point that out. I think the message of all of this has already been elaborated. Oh, and another thing that I want to mention. When I took like the tally of all the different elements, remember, fire is will, passion, creativity, air is thoughts and words, water is emotions, and earth is like the material realm. There is basically a complete absence of air. There's a lot of fire in this reading. We have 5 fire cards plus 1 in this, and technically, there's no air, depending on how you consider the Empress, which may count as Earth or air. Venus rules Taurus and Libra. If that wasn't a self-contained explanation to you, don't worry about it. It's fine. At some point, I'm going to make a video on how I map the major arcana into the different elements, but that's for another time. So yeah, there's a virtual absence of air in this, which says to me that the time for planning the time for planning is over. It's time to do and to let our passion guide us, but also to be open to adapt along the way. I honestly don't think that there's much else to mention. I think I've delivered like 90+% of the message. Just remember that putting yourself out there from a place of abundance is important. Also, pace yourself. Don't be stubborn. Sorry, and also, you know, there's the more you can get yourself to enjoy the process, the better. And be creative and be creative and assertive. Is kind of the nod to the Queen of Wands here. But honestly, wait, give me a second. The way that I use the bottom of the deck is as like a binding agent for the entire reading. And I think I've alluded to the creativity and assertiveness of the Queen of Wands, mainly creativity through adaptability. But yeah, I think that is basically it. So I will move on to the Oracle card portion of the reading. So if you chose the Prism Oracle, your card is Determination. I don't know how well I'll be able to make this. This should be visible to you. But yeah, listen. For those of you who picked the card of Determination, I think it is still important for you to be adaptable and to be open to choosing different approaches. However, if you also chose this card, you can put a damper on that part of the message, because it is possible that you're really onto something, and that try to find a way to combine the two pages, assuming that your king that your king comes along. Try to integrate the Page of Coins into the Page of Wands instead of completely switching. But yeah, if you chose the Determination card, you can put a dampener on that and really hold your vision in place, hold your target in place. Yeah, the circle at the top of the pyramid here reminded me of the sun. I'll just give you a quick close-up again before I move on. There we go. So if you chose the Oracle of the Radiant Sun, your card is Versatility, the Sun in Gemini. You can't make this shit up. Honestly, I don't know what to add. There has to be something I can add. Give me a second. Oh, here's what I'll add. So if you chose the Versatility card, you can kind of read this as the opposite of what I just told the Determination gang. I would encourage you to be double plus open to opportunities, to adapt, and to mold yourself and your actions into what is required, and be on the lookout for opportunities, because sometimes that role will be thrust upon you. And if you chose this card, you are absolutely invited to go with that. If you chose Wisdom of the Oracle, your card is Mending. Well, this is interesting. Give me a second here. I'm not sure. There are a couple ways to interpret this card. The first one that comes to mind is maybe whatever friction that might have arisen in your personal network, bringing you up to this point. Maybe the opportunity for you lies in addressing that. I'm not sure, because again, given the message here, I don't get much interpersonal stuff. Oh, maybe it is within the network of people that, you know, our fellow woo homies, our fellow rebels. Maybe that is what, maybe someone, maybe the King of Wands and the Page of Wands aren't on good terms, or I'm kind of zeroed in on this. They are in the middle of this reading, so cut me some slack. But maybe some potential allies that you have parted ways with, might be useful. Maybe the adaptability that has been a central theme of this whole reading involves finding ways to make use of them, the ones that you've forgotten, and to mend the relationship there. Hey, I made that make sense better than I thought I would. So on that note, thank you very much for watching. If this resonated with you in any way, please give this video a like. Yeah, Taurus season is a doozy, but we'll get through this just like we always do, all right? You take care. I'll see you soon.